Hi guys, welcome back to another screencast. This is for Regents Earth Science. Today we're going to be working on properties of water using that chart on the front page of your reference table. And we're also going to be talking about something called specific heat. So one thing at a time. Front page your reference table, we can pull this chart here as I did, and it just shows a few things that are important for us to be aware of with regard to water. So first things first, we've got the density of water, which is 1.0 grams per milliliter. But of course, when you heat up water a little bit, or most substances, we decrease their density. With regard to water, if we cool it down enough, we'll also get it to freeze, which will cause it to expand. And then we will actually have something that is less dense as a result of it getting colder, which is, of course, very rare. It's the only substance that does this. Let's take a look at some of the other things we see here. We're talking about how much heat energy we call this, or we measure it in joules, or joules per gram of water. And this is for each phase change. So for example, if you melt water, meaning you're adding heat to it, so that's why heat energy is gained by it, you need exactly 334 joules for every gram of water you have in order to melt it. Conversely, let's say we were going to condense water, so how much heat energy is released during the process of condensation. That is, of course, water as a gas, as water vapor, becoming water droplets. And that's 2,260 joules for every gram of water, meaning if we have 2 grams of water, it's double that number. If we have 3 grams of water, it's triple that number, and so on and so forth. This is going to serve as your notes for today. What we're going to do is go ahead and take a moment here. You can pause this at any time in order to copy it. I'm just going to talk a little bit about what you're seeing. We know that melting is a phase change from solid to liquid, that it occurs at 0 degrees Celsius, which is also the same as 32 degrees Fahrenheit, and that we can see that that requires 334 joules per gram on the reference table, page 1. Just to kind of skip ahead for a moment, vaporization has the term vapor in it, and this is referring to evaporation. They mean the same thing. This is the process of liquid water becoming a gas or becoming water vapor. This occurs at 100 degrees Celsius or 12 degrees Fahrenheit and requires far more energy. The reason it requires far more energy to do this is that we are talking about states of matter that have higher energy. So the lowest would be a solid, that is the lowest energy. Then we have a liquid with a more medium level of energy, and the highest amount of energy is a gas. So anything involving a gas is going to be dealing with these higher values. Okay, taking a look at specific heat. Specific heat is what we refer to as the energy needed for each gram of material or water to increase by 1 degree Celsius. We also say here that a higher specific heat means that a substance, and of course we're talking about water right now, which does have a very high specific heat, in fact the highest on this chart in your reference table on the front page, that not only does it take a very long time to heat up, but also to cool down. So this is an important point, because if something has a high specific heat, I know it sounds like the reverse of what it means, but a high specific heat means it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of heat to change the temperature of this substance, while at the same time it holds its temperature for longer. So if you have ever boiled water at home, I had pasta for dinner tonight, actually. When I went to heat up the pasta, right, you have to boil the water first, and it takes quite a long time for it to reach the temperature at which it is boiling. If we were to heat up another substance, let's say metal, right? If you just put metal on a metal pan on over the heat, it heats up very quickly. And that's because, if you look at this chart, metals like iron, copper, and lead have very low numbers, meaning a low specific heat, so they heat up fast. And they also cool down fast. So anything that heats up quickly will also cool down quickly. Anything that takes a long time to heat up, like water, will take a long time to cool down. All right, a little bit of notes for you, just to kind of get an idea, and we're going to use some examples. So the first one I like to use on the left here is cheese versus crust with pizza. We all know that we're much more likely to burn the roof of our mouth as we eat pizza on the cheese. And the reason for this is cheese tends to have, especially mozzarella cheese, has a very high water content. So what we do is we take the pizza out of the oven, and by the time it gets to our plate and we're about to bite into it, it's had a little bit of time to cool off. And in that period of time, the crust has cooled down a little bit. So we might be able to hold the slice, right? We might be able to bite the crust and not burn the roof of our mouth, but sometimes we will burn the roof of our mouth on the cheese. And the reason for that is because the cheese is taking a long time to cool down due to its high specific heat. Similarly, if you go to the beach, I'm sure you've all experienced this, right? You're walking around, the sun is out, maybe it's 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the sun's out, you step on the sand, it feels very hot because sand has a low specific heat, it heats quickly. Versus the ocean, you go put your feet in the ocean and the water feels very cold. And the reason that is the case is because, as we keep saying, water has a very high specific heat. So it takes longer to heat up as the sun's out, and it also takes longer to cool down. Okay, a little bit of practice. Now, I know I already gave you the answers here, but this is just to demonstrate what it is that we're doing. So the first one, when 1 gram of liquid water at 0 degrees Celsius freezes to form ice, how many joules of heat are lost by the water? So you'd go to the front of your reference table. You'd find that word freezing. So there's freeze. So we've matched those. It says 1 gram of water, so we don't need to multiply anything. How much is lost, right? It says how much is lost. Well, in this case, lost and released are going to mean the same thing. So we're talking about 334. Another example, what material requires the least amount of energy to change temperature? Well, that would be lead, and the reason is because it has the lowest number on our specific heat chart. If they change this question to say which material requires the most energy or the most time to change its temperature, that would be water because it has the highest number. A couple more. Equal volumes of 4 samples were placed outside and heated from the energy of the sun's rays, otherwise known as insolation. Let's see, which one's going to increase the slowest? Well, it's going to be the one with the highest specific heat, so that would be water. What process requires this many joules, 2,260 per gram? Oh, and it says to gain, right? To gain per gram, right? We'd go back to our water chart at the front, and we're getting gaining, and 2260, that looks like vaporization to me. So vaporization or evaporation. Feel free to try this last question on your own. That's going to be it for today. Have a good day.